Hello everyone. Today's video we're gonna fix up these headlights on this 2004 Mitsubishi Evolution 8. You can see they little yellow looking. I didn't use a UV resistant paint before, and that's the reason why the clear coat is starting to yellow and fail. As you can see, the other one looks just as bad. Anyway, we'll be taking them completely off, sanding them, removing this old paint, and I haven't decided yet whether to clear coat them with a 2K paint that has a catalyst, or just use a UV resistant paint protective film. Anyway, but stay tuned. We'll go ahead and take the bumper off. I got it up on the ramps, and let's get started. Alright guys, if you still have the undercover of your EVO 8, we're going to remove that first, and after that we're going to have to take this license plate holder off if you guys live in a state that requires this. Let me show you where these clips and snaps are under here. So if you look carefully under there, and I may have some wire ties substituted for some of these things, but you got one over here. So these run all along the front of this this bumper. So here you got another one over here. See that? Got another one over here. Anyway, they're just everywhere. And then there's some back in here. This one's got a couple of screws. So you got a screw here, a couple of screws here. You got one here. You got a 10 millimeter over here. Actually, that's not a 10 millimeter. That looks like maybe a 1/4 inch. All right, so it's a 1/4 inch. This may not be a factory screw. I may have had to replace that. But then you got a couple of snaps over here. Another one here. Got some more back there. Anyway, they're all over the place. So just take your time. Take all of those things off. I have some wire tie deals over here on snaps that have broken or have come off. And I just drilled another hole next to it, and I just used the wire tie to hold it. So I got a lot of these wire tie deals everywhere. So I'm going to cut all those things off. Once I get this bottom cover off, then we'll move on to the bumper cover itself. Next step would be to remove these top fasteners here. So you have a bolt here, plastic fasteners here that have to come off. Again, another one over here, that's plastic, another plastic, a bolt. And then over here on the inner wheel well, there's a, see if you guys can see it here in the picture, 10 millimeter right here. So you gotta get that off. Take these two plastic fasteners off as well, and it's the same thing on the other side. Let's come around here to this side. So again, same thing over here. You got 10 millimeter up here in that little crevice there, and then you have this fastener. One more down here. Supposed to be another one down here. Yeah, right in there. And there's two 10 millimeters in the front here. So if you look right here, there's a 10 millimeter. It's a little bit rusted, so it's hard to catch in the video. And then the other 10 millimeter was the one that was holding on the bracket for the front license plate. So that one's already out. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and take those off and pull the front bumper cover off. Okay, next up is going to be to take the these little plastic side covers off. So they're just held on by a couple of snap clips, one up here and one on the bottom there, and there may have been one there in the center there that's not there anymore. But anyhow, these clips are probably going to break if your car's old. Mine, I could tell they're barely holding on. But the reason we got to take this off is that there's a 10 millimeter bolt back there. Let's see if we can catch it in video. Turn the torch for you. There it is right there. So you guys can see that. So there's a 10 millimeter there. Don't know if there's any more. One here, another one over here, and it looks like one over here on the side, right here, this one. And that's it, and then the whole thing should come out. And we gotta make sure to be careful if you have one of these HID headlight systems, because this box is right here. So we just have to take extra care with that thing, because these things are expensive to replace if you mess any of this up. Alright guys, I'm going to pull that off, and then we'll get to working on getting these headlights looking good again. Alright guys, once you have all the bolts loose, all you need to do is, so this tab was up and over this little square piece of plastic that also fastens a screw down to. So you lift up on this tab, and then this thing will start to come forward a little bit, okay? Now, another thing that you need to do is the light. Am I too high? Okay, there you go. The light is going to want to get hung up on the lip of this, on the back side. So this was over this lip, on the other side of this lip. So you have to work it to get it up over the lip here, this little metal piece of the bumper, right? So once you get it up and over that, then you have some space. And you're only going to take off just a few of the plugs. You're not going to take them all off. Let me turn on the torch so you guys can see a little bit better. Make sure the torch is on. Yeah, it's kind of bright here. Sorry, guys. Okay, so we're going to have to take off this plug here. Okay, and then below it, I'm not sure if you can see that in the shot, but there's a wire over here. Let me move it over to the side. So if you look below there, there's another big plug. That one has to come off, and that plug feeds the HID ballast, that metal box that was underneath that I showed you before on the previous shot. So we got to take that off, and then I believe there's one more. There's this little one right here. So this little one here also has to come off, and then that's it. It's only 3 plugs. Once you get those 3 off, the whole light will come out. All right, so let me do that, and then I'll show you what they look like outside of the car. Okay guys, so these are the 3 plugs. So the big one that powers the HID ballast, and then these little ones that are turn signal and I believe parking lights. And that's it. So that's what it looks like without the lights on it. Now we'll take the lights over to the bench and start working on them. We're going to be using 2 different grits of sandpaper. We're going to need a 400 grit. So this is a wet sandpaper, and we'll be using some water. And then we're going to follow up with an 800 grit. And then after that, we're going to paint it. You want to wet down your paper, and you also want to wet down your lens. The idea is to get all this yellowing off. You see how the lens is yellow, right? All this yellow, we have to get this off. All we're going to do is just keep hosing, keep sanding, and once all the yellow is off, that after you're sanding you don't see any more yellow coming off, then you know you're done in that area. And you can move on to the other areas. We're just going to keep hitting it till there's no more yellow there. And that yellowing is more than likely it's the old clear coat, because I had clear coated this in the before with a clear coat paint that wasn't UV resistant. Actually, the paint was UV resistant, but it didn't have a catalyst, so it wasn't going to last. It did work out fine for about, I want to say just under 2 years, but then after that it started to fail. It started to come off the lens. You could see it chipping, and then once it completely came off the lens, and the lens started to yellow again. So that's what we're doing now. We're getting rid of all that yellowing, and then we'll go back, and this time we're going to use a 2-part clear coat, which will resolve the problem and give us a lot longer time between this maintenance. This is what you want. You see how now it's not so yellow anymore. It's looking clear. So that's what you want. So I'm gonna go ahead and just keep going all the way around. Continue knocking this off. So now back here it's yellow again. Alright guys, so there's a bunch of dirt and stuff that's underneath this little thing here. So I'm going to try to get up under there with a toothbrush or something, an old toothbrush, and see if I can't clean that up. Okay, next step is going to be the 800 grit. So here we have our 800 grit sandpaper. And that's it. So that's all we got. That's all we need to do. From here we can go to paint. And what you can see is it's going to look scratched, but as soon as you hit it with that clear coat is going to fill in those little scratches, those micro scratches, and it's going to look awesome. You don't want to get too crazy and get into too fine of the grits, because then when you try to paint, the paint won't grab the surface. So 800 grit is the perfect place to stop. So I'm just going to touch up these little corners, clean them up a little bit better, and then we'll do the other lens, and then we'll get into painting. So you can see that just after removing the yellowing, this is before clear, it's going to be night and day. I mean, this looks terrible. So that's yellowed, failing paint, starting to allow the UV to break down the plastic once again. That's why it's looking yellow. And this one, we've removed all of the old paint and have removed that oxidized plastic as well. So that's where we're at so far. Here's the other lens. We're going to do the same thing. So first this 400 grit, and then we're going to follow up with the 800 grit. There we go, 400 right here. Guys, I'm gonna get some rubber gloves. And I'm starting to feel my fingerprints wearing away. All right, one thing that I didn't mention on the last one is just before I switch grits, what I like to do is I like to go like a different direction. So right now I've been sanding this way. I'm going to sand up and down so that I make up and down scratches. That way when I go to the next sandpaper, I'm going to sand across. And then that'll make it easier for me to spot any places where I may not have sanded properly. I'll still be able to see the vertical lines that are from the previous sandpaper. So I'm just going to start to go up and down here. I'll start with this side to make some vertical sandpaper marks. That way when I come back with the 800 grit, the goal would be to get rid of all the vertical marks. Once I can't see any vertical marks, then I know I've sanded it enough. And the whole purpose for the next grit is just to remove the scratches from this grit. And you don't have to apply a lot of pressure. Just let the sandpaper do the work. And that's it. Now all we're going to do is switch over to the other sandpaper. Okay, 800 grit, and we're going to go across this way, horizontal. So let me show you right now. See how we have these vertical marks? It's kind of hard to see here. You can see the vertical scratches. Okay, so that's what you want to see. You want to see horizontal lines, but you don't want to see any more vertical lines. So that's perfect right there. So from this point, we're just going to let it dry overnight. Tomorrow's a nice sunny day, hopefully, and we'll clear coat this thing. Today we're ready to paint. It's a nice sunny day outside. Humidity is around 40%. We have the headlights are all taped up and ready to go. What I did after the 2 grits of sandpaper is I went around everything that's gonna get clear coat with a scruff pad, because there were some little nooks and crannies that I did not sand real well. And now it's just all taped up. I got a garbage bag behind it to cover the rest of the back of the light. I also did the bottom, so I'm gonna shoot both the top, the edges, and then the bottom. What I'm going to be using is some 2K Clear. This is a 2-part paint, which makes it more durable and chemical resistant. It is UV resistant, so I'm not going to have any problems with it yellowing. And anyway, I haven't had any luck using this yet. The first batch that I tried had some issues, and it was clogging up and not spraying properly, so I'm hoping that this one will work out just fine. It's a good idea always to test the spray before you actually commit to spraying it on your part. Instructions tell you to shake the can for 2 minutes. So there's the first part. Then you turn the can over, apply this little red button to the bottom here, and then you put the cap down on the table, push down on the red pin. That punctures the little canister that's on the inside that has the catalyst. Then all you got to do is just shake it again for 2 more minutes. There it is. And then you're going to spray side-to-side pattern going past your workpiece around 10 inches away. Anyway, I'm going to finish shaking this up, and then I'll set you guys up on the tripod, and then we'll paint it. Now this stuff is nasty, so make sure that you're wearing some PPE, respirator, something to protect your eyes, face shield, long sleeves, and gloves is recommended. So these 2-part paints can wreak havoc on your lungs. You shouldn't be breathing any of this stuff. Alright guys, that's it. I'm just going to leave it alone, let it dry. Alright guys, here's how they turned out. They look awesome compared to what they looked like before, night and day. Okay guys, this is the back side of my bumper cover, and this EVO 8 came with a cool little feature. It was an intercooler sprayer, and you can see the little nozzles are here. There's one, and that's it. So there's one, and then there's the other one right next to it, so they're both pretty close to each other. So one right here and one over here. Now when the car was new, this used to work, and it stopped working. So when I took the bumper cover off, I saw the feed line that feeds these little jets. And what I suspect has happened is we have very hard water here in Texas, and it's probably clogged up these small openings in these jets. So what I'm going to do to try to fix this is I'm going to soak these jets in some vinegar, and hopefully that'll break loose some of that sediment that's in there so we can get them working again. Right now, if I try to blow through the tube, nothing happens. Totally plugged. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, see if I can get them to work again, and then we'll pick up the video and put the bumper cover on. Hey guys, I wanted to share a little tip for you. So if you guys have any of these little tension clips that hold any parts down, when you're dealing with old bumpers and old plastic parts, if you try to get a screwdriver under here and pry this thing out, there's a good chance that you're going to break the plastic that it's gripping to, just because the plastic underneath it is probably brittle from just the old age. A thing that you can use, and this is something that I just happened to try and it worked out great, is a ring spanner. So if you guys are into doing any engine rebuilding, or you need to span some piston rings, this little tool, you can pick it up, and it's spring loaded, so it's always closed, and as you squeeze it, it separates. So what's cool about this is that you can just open it up slightly, stick it in here, and if you can see, let me turn the light on so you guys can see better. Maybe you can see from here. All right, so you can see how it is. So what you do is you just get your tool in there, spread it, wiggle it, and off it comes. Okay, I'm gonna do the same thing over here on this side. So here's the little thing. We're just gonna get our tool in here, spread it, and that's it. Off it comes. All right, guys. Hopefully that'll help some of you guys out. So anyway, just a piston ring spanner. This will do the job for you. All right, guys. I wasn't able to resolve the problem with the intercooler sprayer. One of the little tips actually is broken on the inside, and so I'm gonna have to find replacements. I did leave access to the tubes, so when I do get the replacement parts, we should be able to just pop them back in there, and hopefully they'll work. If not, we'll have to come up with another solution. But let's go ahead and complete putting the bumper cover back on. That's what we're going to be doing next. Alright guys, that's pretty much it. The rest of the job is just putting the bolts back on and putting the undercover back onto the bottom of the car, and that's it. So let me show you guys how it turned out. It looks real good and I'm real happy with it. There's with the hood down. Looks really good. Alright guys, thanks for watching.